So hello everybody, this is Bhante Joe here, and just here in Pickering, Ontario, and thought to record a short video for the internet, maybe since there was no meditation this Tuesday. So I thought maybe you could start with a bit of meditation, and after that maybe a short talk. So we can look about 3 feet in front of us and close our eyes. So we can focus in on the breath, can know when it's coming in, and know when it's going out. If we breathe in a long breath, can just know I'm breathing in a long breath. And if we breathe in a short breath, can just know I'm breathing in a short breath. And we can focus in on the breath at the tip of the nose. And if we notice any patterns of tension or tightness around the nose or the face, can just let those relax. And can try to change our perception of the breath. Often can think of the breath almost as if it's in front and we're watching it, but instead can change perception so that it's almost like one is right in the center of the breath, almost like standing under a waterfall. So on the in-breath, one can be totally immersed by the breath. On the out-breath, totally immersed by the breath. And we can try to make mindfulness as continuous as possible, being fully aware of the breath all the way through the in-breath, as the in-breath turns to the out-breath, all the way through the out-breath, and as the out-breath turns back to the in-breath again. And before we finish meditating, can spread thoughts of goodwill, wishing may all beings everywhere be happy and at ease. May they put in place the causes necessary to be happy and at ease. And we can make our minds infinite, can make them unbounded, all the way to the ends of the universe and beyond, in every dimension. May all beings all around everywhere be happy and at ease. Okay, and can open our eyes. And maybe do a short reflection on the Dhamma. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namang saranang gacchami dhammang saranang gacchami sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. So hope that everybody is doing well wherever you may be in the world, and things are had a nice snow today. I think in the Toronto area was quite pretty and lovely to see. Things kind of blanketed in the snow. And the kind of neat thing about when it snows in the wintertime, it usually only snows in Canada, or mostly snows, when the temperatures hover around kind of like 0, -1, +1. At that time, kind of snow will fall, and kind of a lot of it kind of seems to be the right temperature for rain to come and turn into snow. And the interesting thing too is when the snow is falling, then actually it gets warmer. Usually it seems like it goes up kind of a couple of degrees, or a degree or two, or something like that. And so this is the kind of I guess you could say like a silver lining in the cloud. Kind of the snow is coming, but it's also getting warmer. And so it can kind of be sensitive to both these things. So I was kind of talking to somebody the other day, but this kind of a paradox, or kind of not really in any big philosophical way, but just saying, well, it's it's nice to see some snow. The snow's in the air, and when it snows, it usually gets warmer. And I think the person, if I remember, I was like, oh yeah, it usually does get warmer when it snows. And so this is the kind of interesting thing. Kind of snow is coming. It's cold, but it's also getting warmer. And this kind of ability to see, to kind of sense these two poles is something that's also useful in one's practice, because there's some things, there's some types of feeling that are painful, but later on bring pleasure. There's some types of feeling that are painful, but later on bring pain. Some types of feeling that are pleasant now, but later on bring pleasant feeling, and there's some types of feeling that are painful now, and pleasant now, and later on bring painful feeling. And so this one is one of the ones that's most important for our practice, is the type of feeling that's painful now, but brings pleasant feelings later on. In other words, it's something that's difficult to do, but later on will bring us benefits. And so the interesting thing about some of these things that are difficult to do but later bring benefits is that at the time they're difficult to do, if one pays attention, there's also this kind of warmth to them, I guess you could call. Although there's the snow, there's this difficulty involved, there's also this kind of warmth. So one can see this with something like exercising, kind of going to the gym. Remember when I was young, when I was in high school and early university, would go to the gym and lift weights, and you can kind of see when you're lifting the weight, it's very kind of painful. Even you hear people at the gym kind of yelling like making all kinds of noise when they're lifting the weights, and if you heard it, you'd be like, oh, this is terrible. These people are really suffering. But even when you're doing this lifting, your kind of body is releasing these kind of, maybe they call them endorphins or something, I can't remember. But it releases these kind of pleasant chemicals that, feel good. And kind of, you have this feeling, okay, this is leading to something good here. There's this kind of silver lining to the cloud. There's this kind of warmth, I guess you could say, amidst the snow. And then as you keep working out, then you see the results of your exercise, your whole body, your whole kind of a perception of your body in relation to the world becomes more pleasant. because your body has become stronger. Even, you notice, kind of bending over, picking things up, whatever, it all becomes easier. Just moving around becomes easier from having worked out. And there's a kind of a similar principle in meditation practice. Often, if it's our first time meditating, we haven't meditated much, we come to a meditation session, sit down, and what we tend to get is kind of like a pain in our knees, pain in our hips. We have kind of, memories of the past coming up, kind of things that we did 20 years ago or 10 years ago, or painful endings of past relationships, or amazing fun times that we had, and our mind is just kind of running all over the place. It's kind of this idea, well, what's going on here? Kind of my mind seemed, sometimes people sit down, kind of my mind might have seemed calmer before. But amidst this kind of a difficulty, when one is kind of picking up the momentum of their meditation practice, when one's starting to meditate, it's good to look for this kind of silver lining. In other words, especially when one's meditating, one might have these kind of feelings, but then when one gets up, how does your mind feel? How does our mind feel? Often we can notice that right away after even a half-hour session. If we pay close attention, we can see our mind has calmed down. Kind of its usual tendency to immediately kind of react to external things that contact it has been kind of dampened. Kind of like instead of somebody throwing a ball at us and it kind of fastball, it kind of hits us right away. It's kind of like a nice underhand lob. You can see the ball coming, and you have time to duck out of the way. And so in the same way, when we practice meditation, even if our mind is all over the place, as long as we keep trying, keep bringing it back, even if our body is in pain, this is one of the silver linings that we can notice when we get up. Pay close attention. Is our mind less reactive to the things it was before? Do we have more control? Do we have more of an ability to see the gap between contacting something, contact of an external sense object with our eyes, our ears, our nose, our tongue, our body, or even an idea with our mind? Is there a gap there where we can decide, is this external thing, what reaction am I going to have to it? Am I going to choose to react? How am I going to choose to react to this in a way that's skillful? This is kind of one of the silver linings that we can see, this kind of slowing down of this kind of process of contact and reaction. Another kind of silver lining that we can see when we do this meditation practice is that sometimes the body feels calmer, afterwards. Even though we've been sitting, we're in pain, our thoughts might have been racing all over. Just stop when we finish it. We can learn to become sensitive to the kind of, the more kind of a subtle calm that we have. Kind of our mind is not so agitated going out to look for things as it was before. And again, this might be a subtle thing, like the warmth that we feel when it snows. It's not like it's going to show up on a kind of weather report that the temperature has gone up 10 degrees, but it's there. Kind of, it feels warmer when it snows. And so in the same way, we learn to watch out for these kind of silver linings in our meditation practice. We can become sensitive and learn to be able to pick out the types of practices, the types of things we're doing that may be painful now, but have a positive result in the future. One of the nice things about these things is they tend to have this kind of silver lining. They tend to have this kind of warmth to them, although outside it's snowing kind of frozen water. There's this warmth in the air. And so when we become sensitive to that, we get a little bit better. We can get maybe a little bit better at choosing what actions to do and what ones not to do. And maybe we can become more perceptive, have this kind of more feeling, it's easier to, we want to say motivate oneself, but one gets more joy out of doing these actions that one might have felt were painful before. Because you can see this kind of small warmth, if I keep practicing this, it builds, This kind of good feeling in my body from lifting weights. If I keep practicing this good feeling increases. This strength that I feel increases. Same thing, if I keep practicing this meditation, although I was in pain this time, although my mind ran all over the place, if I keep practicing this, my mind, these silver linings are there. My mind felt more calm when I came out. It was hard to see, but it was there. I had more time to react to the kind of external stimuluses that contacted me. It's hard to see, but it's there. You know? And keep practicing that, and these things grow. The gap between an external contact and the time we can choose to react to it can get bigger. You know, the feelings of calm in our body can grow greater. You know? And these things are skills that can be developed. So this is one of the good things. We can learn to notice the kind of warmth when it snows. Notice the kind of silver lining in the cloud. Notice the kind of good things. Although there might be painful external things, we can notice the benefits that are coming, that can build into long-term results from doing things that may be difficult now, but later on down the line are going to bring us happiness. And when we become skilled at cultivating these things over and over again, it's like this kind of long-term happiness. Eventually the day comes when this kind of long-term happiness bears fruit, you know. Our meditation practice bears fruit. If we're going to the gym, then day comes, we kind of look in the mirror, it's like, okay, I'm stronger here. And the same thing, kind of paying attention to these kind of small things, these small silver linings, making them grow. The day comes when our meditation practice can take on beneficial attributes that we didn't see before, that become obvious one day. Wait, my mind is a lot more calm right now. When I meditate, I'm staying with my breath more. Kind of my ability to choose how to react to my thoughts is increased. So this is why it's good to notice these kind of small things. In the same way, when it snows, kind of notice the warmth there, and then eventually even can be happy when it snows. Kind of the snow comes, oh yeah, it's snowing outside, it's going to be a warm day, things are going to be pretty. The same thing, kind of, we become sensitive to these things. We notice when we're doing something that may be painful now, but in the long term will bring beneficial results. And we find these kind of practices to do, things that are bringing beneficial results in the long term, we can become happy that we've hit on a new path for growth in our practice, for growth in wholesome qualities. And one day ripens in more happiness and leads us onwards on the Buddha's path, towards a noble attainments and hopefully towards Nibbana. That's where the end of the path is. Okay, so I think I'll leave that for reflection and hope that everybody has a great evening on this nice winter day. Wish you all the best till next time.